Hi there, everyone. So I thought I would come on YouTube today because a couple of days ago, you might have seen I uploaded a very short video about the fictional novel. The video is called Quantum Structure, Village Economy 2024, Marina and Gloria Chat. And that video just talks about how Gloria Love in the village and her friend Marina the mermaid met up at the Rumble nightclub to have a chat. So I'm going to have to discuss the novel a little bit today, but I will do my best not to touch too much on the novel, but well, we'll see. I may have to, and I'm sure some of you like stories. For those of you who do not really want to listen to anything to do with the novel or any kind of story, if you go on to that particular video, Quantum Structure, Village Economy 2024, Marina and Gloria Chat, if you follow the breadcrumbs to the Rumble nightclub, then you'll come across a chat where the novel is not discussed. There's just speech that is free within that particular nightclub. But here today, on this platform, we're going to potentially be discussing fiction. So when I did that chat, when Gloria Love did that chat with Marina the mermaid, Gloria did not manage to get through all of the information that she'd brought forward. So that's why I'm here today, to talk to you about Gloria's fictional information that she brought forward for that chat. So originally, we had decided between us, or rather it was Marina's suggestion, that we discuss the bricks in the wall. So the bricks in the wall refer to the magical spelling of banana, rhubarb, ink, carousel, sausage. Okay, so that's what's meant by bricks in the wall. I did actually say to Marina, and I said this when I spoke to her, that it's not really my subject. It's not really something that I would particularly choose to discuss. And I also said to Marina, I have an accountant in the family. And when I said, oh, I might do a video about the economy, he laughed his head off. So it's not my subject. So before you write in and tell me that I know nothing about this subject, I can just agree with you now and say, yep, I don't. However, I am a channel and I am able to draw down information. So I'm going to go through some of the information that I didn't manage to touch on in that interview. So my first question to the nine, Gloria's question to the White Wing Collective Consciousness of Nine in the novel, was, can you please tell me what is the bricks in the wall? Now, the response to that question you can find in the chat with Marina. The second question, ultimately, you're saying this is a false awakening presentation with the potential for breakaway structures to spring up that will be real awakening, all part of the fictional novel. That was discussed within the chat between Gloria Love and Marina the mermaid. Now, did I talk about this? No, I don't think so. This is built on a... Okay, so this particular question is one that we didn't get to. So as I've said before, this is all fiction. We're discussing the fictional novel, The Bifurcated Village, that we're all writing together. I'm creatively writing this novel with your assistance. Thank you for everyone who has participated in the assistance with the writing of this novel. So the question that Gloria Love asked her magical guidance system in the magical village is, will this definitely happen? These breakaway structures. So I'll have to go back a bit. Let's have a look. Where do they mention the breakaway structures? With all Overlord structures, there must be those outside of that Overlord structure operating within that structure. These individuals are easy to control within that structure. But these individuals who are not part of that structure will be given an opportunity within their experiential reality to move into a positively polarized creation structure within the village. So this is specific to the organization that is the bricks in the wall. This is when I asked the 9, you're saying this is a false awakening presentation with the potential for these breakaway structures to spring up that will be the real awakening. So we have the false awakening and the real awakening superimposed within one structure, the bricks in the wall. So someone will say to me, are those bricks in the wall positive? Or are those bricks in the wall negative? Well, it's potentially both, with the intentions ultimately from the negative faction, with some positive intentions coming in from those outside of that structure. This is explained in far more depth when Gloria Love and Marina the Mermaid talk together in the Rumble nightclub. So that's explained in more depth, and they don't discuss the stories, they don't discuss fiction. So if you want something clear without any fictional discussion, then the Rumble nightclub is the place to go for that. So the 9 said the breakaway structures that spring up will be real awakening in the sense that they will be genuinely for the fae, for the fairies, and for the betterment of the village reality that each fae exists within. When that occurs, if that occurs, there are multiple potentials, that would no longer be known as the bricks in the wall, because there'd be changes and shifts and restructuring. But the point is, this will be taken to the level of the fae, the villagers. And at that level, at the boots on the ground level, then innovation is bought at compartmentalized level that will work as a whole. So this is where the positive presentation within the village fairy elemental economy is going. But there's all this other part of it. So as I've spoken before about the bifurcation, and that's why this novel is entitled The Bifurcated Village, this particular structure is bifurcated, as in the economic structure for the village itself and the bricks in the wall, and every compartmentalized aspect within that is bifurcated because the energetic is bifurcated due to this polarity split, polarity clarity. So you see the polarity. There's always been polarity in the village, but now you see the polarity, and that started in 2020 in the village in previous chapters. And we're sort of coming around into more of that clarity. So more fairies, more pixies, more gnomes and elves and sprites and all the other lovely elementals that live in the village can also see the polarity. But that's always been there. It just hasn't been clear in the way that it has been since 2020, but it's always been in this dimension. So that's bifurcated, and these compartmentalized structures and the bricks in the wall are compartmentalized. So the 9 are talking about these breakaway structures. So I asked them, will this definitely happen? You know, is this set in the timelines? These breakaway structures. So from the bricks in the wall and the original reason, which is coming from predominantly negative intentions, but they have to have some unwitting individuals that are not part of the negative structure in order for the false awakening to look like it's real. They do that in all of the false awakening structures. Those individuals who are going along with it, thinking this is good, this is good, this is good, will be given opportunities to move in innovative ways. And that will depend on the individual or the small group. So where will they take that innovation? So is it definite that some of these individuals who've been bought into this bricks in the wall scheme, will some of these individuals actually break away and create something that's in alignment with source energy? Or Will the bricks in the wall structure, which is ultimately false awakening, it's a structure presented in order to move towards a one village system. So as in the economic structure, so you've got all the different villages with all different currencies in the village, but a one village currency would then lead to a one village leadership, as in those that get together and sit behind tables, and they sit in parliamentary kind of structures and make rules. Rather than having lots of them, that would lead to one. That's the aim on the negative aspect, but it can't be every single individual at the head of the bricks in the wall is part of that structure. They've got to bring in some that are not part of that family structure in order to make the false awakening look real. This is how they do it. And they obviously, as you know, hoodwink lots and lots of fairies and lots of elves. So will these breakaway structures definitely happen, or will the bricks in the wall structure achieve their goal? And what is their goal exactly? The reason why I've just told you what their goal is because I already know what the nine have said. So this is what they said. Nothing is definite, as in set at 100%. However, the probability here for breakaway structures is 99.99999. So the answer is yes. I mean, nothing is 100%, but the probability is just minuscule percentage below that, 99.999. So the answer is yes, these breakaway structures will occur. The reason for this is the seeding for such structures have already begun in your reality. That's why the probability is pretty much almost set. It's not set until it happens, but it's as set as it can possibly be before it happens, because the seeds are already here. Now, bearing in mind, I know nothing about finance, economy. I just can't wrap my head around it. So the nine are speaking to me in the best way that I can understand them. I'm delivering you metaphor. Please don't write to me and ask me about financial advice. I don't have a clue. I really, really don't. And I'm the last person you should ask. I'm just bringing forward what the nine have said. And I wouldn't have touched this subject had Marina the Mermaid not said that this is what she wanted to talk about. And I wanted to go along with that. So, and I'm glad that I did, because there's information here. Okay, so the seeding for such structures have already begun in your reality. So the bricks in the wall structure will partially achieve their goal. This is what the nine say about all the agendas, or rather, not that they will partially achieve every agenda. What the nine have said is the most they can hope to achieve is partial success. So the bricks in the wall will partially achieve their goal, but they will need to make adjustments and sacrifices. So what you're seeing right now, whenever you look at reality, whether that's through media or whether you're stood in the middle of the village looking around, whatever it is, and you see information about the bricks in the wall and you think, gosh, those bricks in the wall, that doesn't look good. That's leading to one village pennies, and it's leading to one village lords. That isn't what we want. That's not where we want to go. When you see all of that, what the nine are saying is adjustments and sacrifices will need to be made. They will only partially achieve the goal. Therefore, it isn't what it looks like. And it never is. Everything that's presented, and people get so worried and see the plans and see the agendas within the village and think, oh no, what's this? But it's not manifesting. It's not manifesting the way that they want it to, but it is manifesting partially. So the nine went on to say the goal is full control of the village, full control of the fairies, full control of the entire village structure, and all the fairies, all the elves, all the elementals in this fictional novel. And you would know this as the new village order. This is what they want within the village, the new village order. Although this new village order is now being given other names. I'm not sure what I mean by that. I haven't heard of new village order being called anything else. The 9 are telling me that that there are some names that are being given for the same thing that's new village order. I haven't seen it personally. I have no knowledge of that, but this is what the 9 are saying. There are other names coming forward, and it means the same thing as a structure itself. Okay, so you would know this is the new village order, although this has now been given many other names. It is that which we may call the dark plan or the dark agenda in the novel, the Overlord agenda. Okay, so I didn't touch this part either when I spoke to Marina the mermaid. So you say they will partially achieve this goal. Do you mean that the new village order will occur partially? I mean, how can you have a one world people sitting at the tables partially? The 9 said. In the sense that the pennies and all the economy and the spending and the tokens in the village are controlled, and the implementation of a 1 penny, only 1 penny, not lots and lots of pennies, but 1 penny for the village, that's the sense they mean when they're talking about this occurring partially, in the sense that the pennies of the world are controlled and the implementation of a 1 village currency, as in 1 village penny. The reason why we say partial success is due to the presentation of what shall look like to those who do not have eyes to see through and beyond the veils, like a full taking over of the village. This is what it's going to look like. Now, the 9 have said this, well, right since 2020, actually, and in certain transmissions, this has been spoken of before. To those people who can't see through the veils or can't see the veils at all, can't see beyond the veils in the village, this will look like a full village takeover. The overlords take over the fairies and the elves. That's what it's going to look like to these individuals. The 9 are saying this is not what it is. I do discuss this in the chat with Marina the mermaid, and she also talks about this same topic in her using her model. We both use very different models, very different terminology, but both of us are pretty much saying the same thing in very different ways. So it's definitely a chat I would recommend you go and view if you are interested in what's being said here and what's kind of coming down the line. I just have a sip of my drink. The reason why we say partial success is due to the presentation of what shall look like to those who do not have eyes to see through and beyond the veils, like a full village takeover. The new village order will appear to be in position. So yeah, that's an important point. The new village order will appear to be in position. So there will be people who think it's here now. What's the point of saying, is it going to happen? Isn't it going to happen? What's the point of all these spiritual people saying, create a high vibration? It's here now. Those people, that's what they will see. However, you see beyond the veils, you see through the veils, that is not what you will see. This is why it's so bifurcated. You've got these people that are seeing one presentation of reality, and you've got these other individuals that completely see a total different reality. Like I said, we did experience this in 2020, even more so because the polarities are further away metaphorically. Obviously, direction and distance is not real reality, but it's the way our brain makes sense of it. So let's say the bifurcation was kind of here in 2020, and these are the people that see the illusion. These are the people that see the real structure, but they're close. Now, as we move forward, it's kind of like here. These people are further apart. There is a wider gulf between them. The bifurcation is moving in completely different directions, which allows for this trifurcation, which is a movement over here, a movement over here, and then there'll be a third. There will be 3 types of consciousness, 3 groups of individuals within this village system. That's not quite there yet, but that is what we will see. But at the moment, it's the movement of this bifurcation. So on this side, the new village order will appear to already be there. On this side, it'll be, it's nothing like that, and it's never ever going to be here. These are the individuals that are correct. These are the individuals seeing through the veil and beyond the veil. They are correct. There are individuals, though, that don't at this point necessarily trust their psychic ability. They see and they feel and they have knowing, but within the intellect, there's this little voice saying, well, you could be wrong, you're crazy, this is all mad. And for those individuals, that's why I'm here, not to tell you something, not to tell you something you don't already know, but to confirm what you do know that you're not actually trusting. Now, I've always known this was the case, but I didn't actually necessarily see that as a feedback back to me until I recently went to Glastonbury and did a live talk with Portal to Ascension, and I met lots of people there who followed my videos. And I was very pleased and happy and somewhat surprised to hear a very similar story from so many people. Predominantly, your videos, your books have really, really helped me awaken spiritually, which is wonderful. But also, lots of people said, you really helped me in 2020. I wouldn't have got through 2020 without your videos. They knew this, they felt this, but they couldn't quite put it into words or make a cohesive picture. But it was all there within them. And when they saw my videos, that's when they knew that they were correct. It was simply confirmation. I'm doing the same thing again with this video because we're moving into another movement that is presented in a similar way. If you look at my last video that's just been uploaded, this explains this looping back, which I don't need to touch on here because I've talked about that there. But if you want to know what I mean by this looping back to 2020, back 3 years, go and watch that video first. And that is called Energetic Looping Back 3 Years in Time, Christ Consciousness Override. So go and see that one to understand what that means and what I'm saying here. So that's the bifurcation. This side, the village takeover, the new village takeover is here already. There it is. And they'll be correct from their perspective. And they'll find things in their reality to confirm that perspective. So those over here that are saying, no, that it's not that, they will think, well, you're crazy because I have proof. And they will in their reality. Everyone over here, they'll be saying, it's not that. It's absolutely not that, because they will know and have, it's not proof as such, but it is awareness, insight, interdimensional knowing, downloads, connection. They will have that more and more and more. This is why the bifurcation is moving into this larger polarity, because those over here are kind of staying in the loop, and they're not moving, they're staying in the same place, repeating. That's why it's a loop on a hamster wheel, Groundhog Day. This is where they are, but they're not really there. They are moving forward, but it's an illusion. They think that's what's occurring to them, so they're creating it. They're not really in that anymore because the whole energy is different. Those over here are out of that. They're not on the hamster wheel at all. They've got out of the hamster cage. They're not even a hamster. I mean, they're just not there. And it's such a bifurcation now. It's a bifurcation physically, not to the point where you aren't in the same space as someone. You can still sit next to somebody, you can still hug them, touch them, interact with them, but it's physical, because the misunderstandings and the perceptions of reality itself and everything that goes with reality and all philosophies, belief systems in all ways are so different. But it is emotional, psychological, and spiritual bifurcation. And the chasm grows wider. Now, I know some people feel very sad about that. But the way to look at that is, as I have said before, this is about free will and this is about choice. You cannot be sad because you've invited someone to go out to dinner with you and they don't want to go because they want to sit at home and watch TV. For you to feel hurt and really sad because you're out having dinner with a load of other friends and your mother, sister, daughter, son, neighbor, whoever, long-term friend, they didn't come with you. Partner, they didn't come with you. We must learn as awakened individuals to give the space to others so they may exercise their free will and choice. We learned that with the Juice program. We now have to learn this spiritually and psychologically and emotionally. The chasm is there. Love and compassion doesn't change, and you can still be with that person. So if you're finding yourself hurt, in a way, whilst I fully understand that, and it's very real when these are your loved ones, but the truth of it is that's an illusion as well, because they're in their reality and you're in your reality, and you've never been joined with these people at the hip, if you will. You're always all one in your reality, as in alone in your reality. Yes, we're moving into a oneness, but that doesn't mean that those linearly are going to come into that unity when there's a bifurcation. So we must understand the difference between unity, duality, polarity, bifurcation, trinity, and trifurcation. These are the spiritual concepts that we need to hold, because that will help us through. And when we do that, we're able to move into a surrender, move out of resistance, and we'll be fine when they go and watch a film and you go out for dinner. And I'm not speaking literally there. I'm sure you're aware of that. So let's get back to the Nine's information. This appearance, as in the new village order, is through that which we refer to as a flag of the false kind. So in the village, we've got real flags and we've got false flags. And in the village, the flags of the false kind are presented as though they are real. Now, when I say flag of the false kind, this doesn't mean it is a destructive flag of the false kind. It means the same thing as false awakening in the village with the pixies and fairies and elves. And everything I say here is fiction and has no relation to anything in real life, any connection to any individuals in real life or any situations in real life is purely coincidental, as this is a fictional fantasy fiction novel that we're all writing together. So this appearance is through that which we refer to as flag of the false kind. For there shall be the hoodwinking and the deceiving all along the way. So I don't know exactly what that flag of the false kind will look like. I know that we often see flags of the false kind as destructive and potentially they are not good. But there are also more benign ones. I don't know. I think there are multiple different types of flags of the false kinds in order to create multiple different types of false awakenings. But that's what the Nine are saying. The new village order will appear to be in position And this appearance is through that which we refer to as a flag of the false kind. So that's why these individuals will say it's here, because they'll see the flag of the false kind being waved by the village pixies and fairies. And when they wave that flag of the false kind, that's their proof that the new village order is here. These over here will see the flag of the false kind being waved by the pixies and fairies, and they'll know it's not a real flag. And they'll say, oh, fairies, you've picked up the wrong flag. Go back to the flag box and pick up the real flag and wave it. So these individuals, they aren't going to be where these individuals are when we're looking at the bifurcation, because they know it's a flag of the false kind. And then obviously there will be individuals who think, is that a flag of the false kind, or is it a real flag? Is it false awakening? Is it real awakening wrapped up together? And that's where your intuition, finely tuned, comes in. And all of those things that I said to understand: bifurcation, trifurcation, polarity, duality, unity, understanding what all these are, and your own resonance and your own discernment, finely tuning that, which so many people have done in the last 3 years, which is why we have this higher polarity now. So this appearance is through that which we refer to as flag of the false kind, for there shall be the hoodwinking and the deceiving all along the way of the fairies and the elves in the village. The more the Overlord agenda is presented, the more the awakening of the Fae takes place. And that's always been the case. Some people have perceived this as soon as 2020 occurred, that's it. The Fae will awaken by the end of the year and they'll all be awake and the world is unified. But it was never that. And anyone who has been looking and seeing and working with these energies will have known that this was going to take time. The Nine have always said this, and I've never, ever deviated from that message. You can go back and look at everything that I've put out. I have never deviated from that message. The Nine have always said we need stamina, we need temperance, we need patience for the long haul. And I have never said, that's it, you know, it's over. Only from the higher perspective is it done and over and finished, and is new earth here, because that you are looking from a place of no time. So you're looking from a futuristic point in linear time. I have never deviated from the message. So it does surprise me still somewhat that so many people have thought that everything was over and finished and done, or that it's about to be, you know, within a month it's over and everything's going to be revealed. I know other individuals in the truth communities or spiritual communities or anyone out there delivering information have perhaps shared that kind of viewpoint. But that to me is a misinterpretation of the energy. It's always been, when I say the long haul, it's not really in the higher viewpoint of time itself. It's rapid and quick, but that's from the higher viewpoint, looking at the entire epoch of the post-Atlantic period, which is thousands of years. It's a tiny moment in time, the 2012 period. But being in it and living it, it was never going to be over within a few months or a year or even 2 years. And it's been 3 years in the novel. So the more the dark agenda is presented, the more the awakening of the Fae and the fairies takes place. So that's been the case all along, but it's been this agenda and some awakening, and another agenda and then some awakening, and then another agenda and some awakening. And then within that awakening, there's been partial awakening. And within that awakening, there's been going back to sleep again and thinking, oh, I was crazy when I thought that. I'm going along with the system now. And then they awaken again. It takes time. It's always was going to take time, temperance, is what the 9 said we must cultivate: stamina and patience. But it has occurred in ripples, and it's much more than it was, and it's going to continue to grow. That is absolutely inevitable, because that awakening of the Fae in the village is all part of the singularity, which is an inevitability, which I've spoken about so many times before. So the more the Overlord agenda is presented in the village, the more the awakening of the fairies and pixies takes place, thus triggering the breakaway structure. So we're talking about specifically here the bricks in the wall, thus triggering the breakaway structure to come into play. So thus triggering the breakaway structure to come into play. Right. So that's because the more the awakening takes place. So in that bricks in the wall structure, you have the overlords that are creating those bricks in the wall, but then you have these other individuals who are not part of the overlord family, but believe the bricks in the wall program or concept or agenda is a really, really good thing. But when the Great Awakening or even a smaller amount of the awakening touches them, they're given the opportunity to then move into positive innovation. That's what the 9 mean when they talk about trifurcation, because they then said what we speak of here is trifurcation. So I'm going to try and explain that again. We have group 1. They cannot see beyond the veils, and they believe the illusion and what is presented as the false awakening. They believe that that is real. Then you have over here the awakened individuals that do see beyond the veils, and they know what is the false awakening, and they know what is the true reality. Out of these 2 groups of consciousness in the village, in the Fae, will spring a third. They will be individuals that are bought into various structures. It's not just bricks in the wall. Bricks in the wall is one example, and I do ask the 9 in the next question how they can explain the trifurcation in the context of bricks in the wall. But in all of these structures, that are standing similarly to bricks in the wall, there have to be individuals not part of the overlord structure, because the false awakening has to appear real. That is part of the flag of the false kind. And what I mean by a benign flag, because this is just individuals who are parroting the overlord agenda, not realizing what it is. And there are many of those. And this is something that occurs in the truth community. The truth community don't understand this. The truth, well, I'm not saying all of them, some do, but some in the truth community see an individual or a group of individuals parroting the overlord agenda, and then they think, well, they're overlords. Anyone who says this, anyone who does that, anyone who pushes this, they're all overlords. That's not true. That's not true. Some of them are. Others are parroting a structure because they're either afraid, they've been told that they won't be allowed any more onions and corn on the cob from the village fields, and they're worried about their onions and corn on the cob, so they go along with it. So some are doing it through fear. Others think it's a good thing. They have been shown the flag of the false kind, just like everyone else. They think it's a good thing. So that's why I say discernment is so important, because you need to look and think, okay, that person's genuinely an overlord. That structure is an overlord structure. These individuals are in an overlord structure, but they're not overlords, but they're parroting that narrative because they're afraid. And these ones are parroting the narrative because they believe it's true. We have a whole complex structure here. It cannot be, oh, it's black or white. So we have this one group of consciousness here that do not see through the veils. They believe the false awakening. They believe what they're presented as. They believe the system is real. We have these that see through that. And somewhere within this, within these structures that are similar to the bricks in the wall structure, you have these individuals that are parroting the Overlord narrative in the village, that are given opportunity for awakening. And then within the structure that they are in, they will believe that they are still following the structure, but they've moved away because they're good people. And they believed the structure was a good thing. They believed the bricks in the wall, or the similar concept, the similar innovation. They believed it was a good thing, but then they genuinely go in the direction of the positive. Whereas the original intention is, and the aim is for these individuals to continue to move with the Overlord narrative. And they won't, because the breakaway is 99.99999 probability. So there's no way that this Overlord structure can ever have what they want to have. I mean, I've said this from the start. It's even more obvious now than it ever was. So the next question, and as I said, I haven't really necessarily talked about the village economy per se. This is more about the energetic structure of the bricks in the wall, what they're doing, because I can't talk to you about the mechanics of the economic structure because I'm useless at that. But I can just bring forward what the 9 are saying. Okay, so I said to the 9, trifurcation, can you explain that in the context of the bricks in the wall? And they said, in this context, we mean 3 structures. The dark structure overlay false awakening, the breakaway structure, and the innovation from the people of the world. So that is a different presentation slightly of the trifurcation, because the trifurcation and the bifurcation present in multiple different ways. It's not just one thing. We can say it's a split of 2 worlds, as in the bifurcation. We can say it's a 2-world split, and there's one world and then there's another world. Absolutely aligned metaphor. And when we're looking at the trifurcation, we can say there's a 3-world split. 1 world, 2 worlds, 3 worlds. Perfectly aligned metaphor. But how does that translate in physicality? Well, in multiple different ways, because everything is mirroring the frequency, the geometric pattern of the bifurcation and then the trifurcation. So what I'm saying is, those that cannot see beyond the veils, those that do see beyond the veils, and those that are given opportunity to move into innovation, and they're not really in either camp, they're in a third camp. What the 9 is saying here, specific to bricks in the wall, not the whole entire presentation, but just the bricks in the wall structure, they're saying the dark structure overlay false awakening presented through bricks in the wall. Bricks in the wall, hey, this is a really good thing. This is going to change things. The bricks in the wall have got all these solutions. That's the presentation. And then you've got the breakaway structure, which is the individuals that are moving in this positive trajectory outside of that original presentation of bricks in the wall. And then you have the innovation from the people of the world, the fae and the fairies in the village. So you've got the structure itself, the breakaway structure, and then the innovation from the fairies. So 2 are structures being presented at a more on the world stage level and the village stage level, through perhaps media, or, well, it will be through media, but they will be seen by many because they're big structures. And then you've got the people on the ground who are moving with all this innovation. So as I go through the questions, I'm sure it'll make more sense as to what's happening here. So is this bricks in the wall structure, the gathering of the bricks in the wall, is it a threat to the village and to the fairies? And the 9 said, to those who do not have eyes to see beyond the veil, then yes, for an interim period it is so. This is never such for those with eyes to see, for they will always be above and outside of the Overlord agenda. So the bricks in the wall gathering, is it a threat to the village? Is it a threat to the Fae? Those fairies and pixies who do not have eyes to see beyond the veil, then yes, the bricks in the wall structure is a threat to them for an interim period. So this is not finite. This is not infinite. It's finite. This is a period. This is something that will end and will not always be the case. But it's never the case for those with eyes to see, for they will always be above and outside of the Overlord's agenda. So anyone listening to this video now, anyone awake, aware, in the truth movement, following parts of that, spiritually awakening, going through Kundalini awakening, creating your own reality, the answer to that question is the bricks in the wall gathering a threat to you? The answer is no, never. So why is one structure a threat to this group of pixies and fairies and not this group of pixies and fairies? The answer is because they are creating their reality through what they believe to be real when it's illusion, meaning it's their own beliefs, their own perspective, their own opinion, their own decision-making process, and their own assimilation of what's going on that creates the threat to them. It's themselves in reaction to the bricks in the wall structure. So I think I'm going to leave this video here, but I haven't got through all the information that was brought forward yet. So I will be doing another video to discuss more. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for listening to this, and I will be back to talk about the rest of this information from the 9. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.